you guys hear that it's I guess it didn't announce it. I didn't hear it. So here we go. We're starting. It is July 21st. And this is our University of Houston Zoom weekly meeting. And I've got some announcements. I've got an agenda, so we'll go through that pretty quick. But before we hit the record button, we were talking about just the amount of how you rate online courses in general at the University of Houston. What's your experience been like? And I was surprised. It was pretty good range, but mostly you guys like online courses. I think you like the on-demand element, so that's good to know. And then I asked to rate this course in comparison to other online courses, and I was pleased with the response. And then I was about to say that the Bauer evaluation will be coming out soon, and that's going to be on the announcements. It should be on the announcements this week, but I forgot to put it on there. So speaking of announcements, let me just open the agenda and share my screen with you for a minute. Here we go. So these are the announcements for the week. Last week, I posted the list for you to get your book, this book, Make Your Money Count, which is filled with stories. So if you like my stories, a lot of my stories are in here. A lot of my stories didn't make it in here because, as you can see, the book is only 225 pages and it didn't have room for all of my stories. But anyway, you'll get a copy of that. It's a keepsake. And you'll get a copy of the blueprint as well. The blueprint is really the tool we've been using to build your financial plan. So get on that list. My wife, Connie, will be mailing those books out if you put your address on the list. I need your address. So that was one announcement from last week, and I wanted to remind you this week I want you to know that I'm going to be posting your participation points. Again, that's 200. It's worth 200 points. Most of you are going to get all of the points. Some of you that I don't know and never hear from and don't do your assignments, you will get dinged, which means you'll need to make up those points soon in other ways. Finally, the Capstone Assignment is coming as I promised, and have been trying to encourage you all through the course that your work in the financial planning portal, you're building yourself a financial plan. And so we'll talk more about that today and next week. But I don't want you guys to worry and feel stressed that there's so much information flying around with regard to your financial plan and all of these details. The whole purpose for using the planning portal is to kind of put it all together. And I know that may be different for you, maybe challenging, something you're not used to, but I promise you, if you just stick with it, I'll guide you through and coach you through, and you'll do fine on the capstone if you just keep up. I would think of it like a video game, a personal financial video game, because what you're going to get to do starting this week is you're going to start to get to imagine different scenarios and play with different scenarios. So you're going to turn 58 this week, and you're going to inherit $1 million, and you're going to invest it. And I don't care how you invest it. And this assignment, by the way, is like a 5-minute assignment. So let's talk about assignments. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but the Capstone Assignment is coming up, and it's going to put together all of the little assignments that you've done, and you'll find that it's really not a difficult assignment, but it is worth 200 points. So last week we did the assignments for you last week was calculate retirement, and I want to highlight a couple of things that, there were some lazy bones going on. Most of you just knocked it out as usual and did great, but some of you, a few, I'd say 20% or so, really missed the whole contribution limit, and so it was not a difficult piece of the assignment, but it's important because it builds onto something we're going to talk about when we get into tax-advantaged investing, and that's types of accounts and how much can you contribute to those types of accounts. So one student just gave me a really clear 1, 2, 3, and that's really what I was looking for. College 529, the student said no limit. That's pretty much true in most states, Texas. So, I just wanted to know that you did a little research to see that a 529 is a type of account that's used for college funding, and you can put a lot of money in it. There's really no contribution limit. It's huge. So that's 529. On the other hand, a 401k, which is a corporate account that's set up by your company, that's got an IRS limit too, and this year it's 19,500, and if you're over 50, it's 26 grand. And then there's the Roth IRA and the traditional IRA, and they're both the same. And this student didn't actually delineate the Roth and the traditional, but they're the same. And those limits, contribution limits, whenever they change for one, they change for the other. So I just wanted you guys to know that those limits are important, and some of you just didn't even answer that. So if you got dinged on your assignment, that's why. So this year, 6,000. If you're over 50 like I am, I put 7,000 into my Roth IRA. But by the way, if I wanted to put money into my traditional tax deductible IRA, I would have to put half of that 7,000 in my IRA and half in my Roth IRA. I mean, I wouldn't have to do that, but the point is I can only contribute 7,000. I'm over 50, so I get that catch-up provision. Let me see. It looks like we got some participants waiting. Uh-oh, I just let somebody in on an iPhone. I don't know who that was. Name yourself in the chat, whoever I just let in. I shouldn't have done that. So the Roth IRA and the traditional IRA, it's one limit. You have to choose. Are you going to put money in the Roth IRA or the traditional IRA? So just so you know, that's the limit. You can't put it in both. So let's look at some of the errors. Account contribution limits. You see this was an error. Contribution in a 401k, the student said 13.5, and then some other things. Just wanted you to know, I didn't come back and give you the answers, but here's one that caught my attention. So this student, when asked to give me the contribution limits, they started identifying names of companies. So this is not a type of account. This student apparently thought that there were certain limits at TD Ameritrade that were different from Charles Schwab and E-Trade. So clearly this student was kind of missed the point. So if that was you, I'm not trying to name any names, but I just wanted you guys to see kind of some of the things that got my attention, and I want to give you answers. If I had a 401k, I would invest 19.5. If I had a Roth IRA, I would also contribute 6,000. And finally, with an IRA, I would also contribute 6,000. So again, the student kind of missed the point that you can't do both, the Roth and the IRA. So you would have to choose. Do I want to put it in a Roth or do I want to put it in a traditional? And we'll talk about the differences between those, and I'll help you understand how you would make that choice. That's coming. So this student said, because 8% of my income does not exceed the catch-up contribution, I will not save in any IRA, Roth IRA. I don't know where that's coming from, but that seems confused. That's just incorrect. Retirement saving runs. So these are some of the things I saw when I looked at your retirement calculation. And so I just wanted to highlight some of the things that I saw that you want to be aware of. Most of you did a great job. What I was looking for and what I was hoping for is that you would do the retirement calculation and you would come out with a number that was reasonable and it made sense. But some of you came out with numbers that were not reasonable. They made no sense, and clearly you didn't really pay attention, a few of you, or didn't understand what you were trying to calculate. So this student says their report said that they run out at age 76, and it assumes an annual retirement expense of $462,000. That's clearly not paying attention to the details. So, which is 90% of your last year's income of $513,000. Now, maybe this student thinks they're going to make that kind of money. And if that's the case, then I stand corrected. But that looks like just not enough attention to detail and not using realistic numbers. This plan includes $170,000 per year from Social Security. Now, as soon as I say that, I remember a student who submitted this retirement calculation, and she included $250,000 a year of income, and I just basically pushed back, deducted some points. Come to find out, she came to me and said, Professor Munchback, I'm already making that. So if I'm pointing this out and you really, this is a realistic number, then I stand corrected. But it did catch my attention. Here's another one. Retirement saving runs out at 68. This assumes annual retirement expenses of $3,186,000, which is 80% of your last year's income. So, this plan includes $95,000 per year from Social Security. So something's not right about that. And I just wanted you to know, I was looking at the calculation and basically what's the end result here. And I want you to do the same thing in this retirement calculation. You can go back and do it anytime. I would encourage you to do it and just make sure that the numbers that you're creating in that report makes sense to you based on your income, your imaginary income, because you're looking at, most of you anyway, are looking at a job and an income that you don't currently have. So that's what I was looking for. So then we get into a couple other things. I'm not going to spend any more time on this, but this student just gave me a whole bunch of information about phase outs, which is important, and it does kind of fall under the category of contribution limits, but they didn't give me the contribution limits. They gave me a whole bunch of stuff about phase out, which tells me that this student was very likely copying and pasting from Mr. Google, which, you probably got a little deduction. But anyway, those are some of the things that I wanted to just highlight in terms of some errors that I saw. So again, we'll come back to types of accounts. We won't spend a tremendous amount of time on contribution limits or limitations, but it is important to understand, especially the fact that while you can contribute to your 401k and a Roth IRA, you can't contribute the full annual limit to a Roth IRA and a traditional IRA. You have to pick one or split it, either way. So I wanted you to know that. So last week we assigned the Extra Credit 1 and Extra Credit 2. That's still open if you want to take it. I did get one assignment, and I'm not going to mention the name, that was the Extra Credit Assignment 2, the video, but I didn't get Extra Credit Assignment 1. That won't work. You got to do the first assignment, and then if you want to do the second assignment, you can, but you can't do the second assignment and not do the first one, because the second assignment was just to do a little video. It was about communication. Do a little video and basically report what you did in the first assignment. So if that was you, you need to go back and do the first extra credit, or you're going to lose extra credit for the second one. Okay, this week the assignment is you're going to turn 58. You're going to have my birthday. In your financial planning portal, you're going to change your birthday to 4/15/62, and you're going to be 58 years old, and you're going to inherit $1 million. And you can invest that. You need to do something with it, okay? You can drop it in your checking account. You can put it in your savings account. You can pretty much do whatever you want in terms of the type of account that you pick. This assignment should take you like 5 minutes. So don't spend much time because next week, you're going to learn more. Actually, this week up until next week's assignment, you're going to learn more about types of assets and asset allocation. And I'm going to teach you the 4 investment strategies designed to maximize returns and minimize risk. And the whole point of next week's assignment is going to be take what you learned and then go and reinvest that $1 million. So you'll have a before and after. So for that reason, I'm just going to give you a little warning, a little caveat. This week's assignment is super, super easy. It won't take you but a minute. So take advantage of that. And B, next week's assignment is going to be a little bit more rigorous. It's going to take a little more time because you're going to have to apply what you learned and then tell me why you broke out your $1 million investment into different asset classes. So I'm going to teach you. In fact, if you look in your online course at moneystudy.group.com, you're going to see that I've posted lots of helpful information there. Some of it's reading, some of it's videos, but it's there for you to absorb the basic things you need to understand so that you can take that $1 million and invest it like a pro. So trust me, it's not going to be as hard as you might think. But the first assignment this week, you just get the $1 million, you invest it, put it in your checking account, savings account, whatever. Don't spend too much time investing it unless you want to, in which case, hey, it's your plan and you won't get extra points for doing it this week unless you really give me something worth extra points. But look, here's the deal. In this course, we have some folks who are have more experience in finance and investing. And so I get that some of you may be very bored with some of these assignments. And so you have access to a very premium, high quality financial planning portal, and you are able to do anything you want within the parameters that you have inside of that software. So don't feel like you have to hold yourself back. On the other hand, for the majority of students, I would say you're learning, you're gaining a little bit of knowledge, you're taking a step at a time, and that's great. And this week's assignment is just a little baby step in that direction, but it's important because you're going to add to it next week. And then the following week, you're going to not only reallocate that $1 million in terms of asset classes, but I'm going to come back then in that third investment assignment and I'm going to say, hey, look, now that you know about different types of accounts and you know about different asset classes and how they work together, I want you to go back to the drawing board with that $1 million as a 58-year-old. And I want you, since week 2 or assignment 2 in investing, you're going to reallocate that $1 million according to different asset classes. And then you're going to tell me why you did it that way to demonstrate that you get it, that there are different types of asset classes. And then the following week, you're going to do, you're just going to reallocate those investments according to types of accounts. So you may say my $1 million, half of it was my 401k, quarter of it was my Roth IRA, and some of it I invested in a piece of real estate. I don't care. Invest it any way you want. I just want you to tell me why you did it that way. And I'm going to ask you to show me in your planning portal what the difference was in terms of your probability of success. So again, if you're feeling overwhelmed at this point and feeling somewhat confused, don't. If you're thinking, hey, this is a lot of fun, I want to go do this, 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 and this, feel free. But just trust me, we're going to do 3 investment assignments. The first one is super easy. You inherit $1 million, drop it in your checking account, take the points, and go into your online training at Money Study Group and learn everything you want and the things you need to learn. At least watch the videos. And you should probably read the articles I posted. And that'll give you a much better understanding of asset allocation, types of investments, and that will be very helpful when you get to the next assignments. And then finally, the last week, you're going to just basically, I'm going to download your financial plan. That's going to be your capstone assignment. So I'm going to grade that based on how many of the components you got in your plan, and it won't take a lot of work, but it is worth a lot of points. So again, every time we do a capstone assignment, it's building onto that final capstone assignment where basically I'm going to print out your financial plan and we're going to grade it together, and you'll get full credit for doing it. And it doesn't have to be done a certain way, but there has to be certain elements that demonstrate that you got the lessons along the way. So again, I'll spend plenty of time unpacking that assignment. You'll have plenty of time to go back to your financial plan and tweak it and update it so that when I print out that final report, it'll be in order. So hope that helps. So there you have it. Let's see. Next, I want to do just a quick overview, because this course, let me see if I can, hold on. Okay, that didn't work so good. I've got a little 7-minute video I'm going to play. It's just me clicking through my project manager. But before I do that, I want to just say we're here at really, I think, the critical point in the course where we are doing investing. It's the most popular topic, and it's clearly the most, there's the most information in investing. There was a ton of information in insurance as well that we just can't cover in this course, because this is introduction to personal finance. But what I've done, and what I think is the right thing to do when it comes to investing, is because investing is such a critical part of your financial success, I'm going to be creating a considerable amount of content. But really, the whole course, the whole thing comes together during this week, next week, and then in the week after, when we wrap things up. So what I wanted to do is just spend a couple of minutes today and really try to encourage you. I'm reminded of a story. When I was in college, I loved history. History was my favorite topic. And I went to college, studied education because there was no math involved. And I actually went to Bible college because, well, I grew up in a very religious family, and that was like the best thing you could do with your life, is go into ministry. I never really planned on being a pastor or being in ministry. I just wanted to go to college, meet a girl, get married, and check that off my list. And so I did that. I went to college to meet a girl, and I did. I met this beautiful lady, Connie. I'll show you a picture of Connie. There's Connie. That's my wife and I'm not sharing my screen. Let me share my screen so you can see a picture of my wife, Connie. She's much prettier than me. And that's my daughter, Carissa. So I met Connie in college. We got married, and it was awesome. She's the best thing that ever happened to me. And we met in college, which really honestly is why I went to college. But while I was in college, something happened. I was taking this Old Testament history. It's Bible college, remember? We were studying 1st and 2nd Samuel, basically the history of Israel and King David and David and Goliath. I mean, some super cool stories in that class. And it was a history class. And this professor, Hunter Sherman was his name. He was awesome. It was like 400 students, the biggest class it was a small college, but 400 students was a lot. It was a very popular class. So I took this class, sat in the back row, but I never missed because it was just so good. I loved it. One day, Dr. Sherman, he just took his books and pushed them aside and said, "I just want to talk to you." And he was a great guy, great professor, and I liked him, and I felt like he was really passionate about teaching history, and so I just appreciated that. And it was one of the best classes in college for me. So during that particular day, he just put his books aside and he said, "I just want to talk to you." And what he wanted to talk to us about, he said, "I know some of you did not come here to graduate from college." And I'm like, I'm on the back row or second to last row. And I'm like, I heard him. And I was like, well, he's talking to me, because I never intended to finish college. I was paying for it myself. Nobody in my clan ever went to college. And I was just kind of curious, and I wanted to meet a girl and get married. So that's why I went to college, and I wanted to check it out, experience it. But that day, Dr. Sherman put the books aside, and he's having a conversation with us. And he was really having a conversation with me. I mean, it was like he got my attention. I didn't know what he was about to say, but He knew who I was. He knew I didn't plan on finishing college. And he started to list, you're here because you wanted to check it out. You want to meet people, have some fun. And he's like, yeah, how'd you know? That's me. But then he said, I just want you to know, I want you to think about what might change in your life if you graduate from college. And I want you to know that if you make up your mind right now, you can graduate from college. And he just kind of talked through what that looks like, just making up your mind and doing it. And it was so simple. It was like, and he started to talk about having a college degree, how that changes your opportunity. And it doesn't really matter if your degree is in education or engineering or whatever. Just having a college degree is like an important distinction. And I never really thought about it. I was a master mechanic, auto mechanic. That's how I made good money in college. That's how I was paying for college. That's how I paid for my family to survive. But that day, I started to think about what's possible in my life if I had a college degree. And that day, because he put the books aside and he had a conversation and he was talking to me, I decided then and there I was going to finish college. And I did in 4 years without taking summer school. In fact, this course, this semester, is the first time I've had anything to do with summer school. And so there you have it. So what am I asking you to consider? I'm asking you to consider the fact that this course in personal finance, I know some of you came to this course because it's an easy A. You read some reviews on ratemyprofessors.com, and it is. For some of you, this is going to be the easiest A you ever had because you didn't really have to study. And I get that. Some of you had to work pretty hard because you didn't have any experience in finance. It doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is the reason I'm here. What I hope is that you decide that you want to be responsible in how you manage money, that you want to make wise financial decisions. That's my hope, is that you make up your mind that you're going to be one of those people who does the little things that you can do. I call them disciplines, financial disciplines. The little things that you can do to develop the big muscle that you have to do the big thing you could never do if you didn't have the muscle that came from the little discipline that you do every day. Things like being accountable for what you spend and calculating the cost of your retirement so that you have a clue, and understanding enough about investing so that you can do it on your own, because trust me, you can do it on your own. And you can do it better at a lower cost with better results than if you go out and just do what everybody else does. So that's my hope, is that somehow I can move the needle for you in your life in this small way. The thing that I do, this is what I do. I mean, I have a business and I try to make money and yada, 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 but I'm 58 years old, and this is what I do. This is my purpose, to teach, and you are my audience. And so I hope that somehow I can do for you what Dr. Sherman did for me, and make that one little paradigm shift in your life, in your mind, in the way you think, so that you go from maybe not believing you could or should or want to do this to, hey, yeah, if I do these things, if I commit to this, it's going to make a difference in my life, because that's what I believe. I believe if you have a good financial plan, just a basic, good, workable financial plan, it can make a tremendous difference in your life. And it starts with just paying attention to how much you spend and what you save to invest and how you manage those investments. It's really not rocket science. So that's my hope for you. That's my hope. It's been my hope. And I hope that is somehow as helpful to you, or a little bit as helpful as what Hunter Sherman did for me. So now I'm going to jump into what I want to do now. Is I told you at the beginning of the course, this summer school, I've never taught summer school, never done online. And so we're kind of building it as we go. So here's where we've been. We went through week 1. I asked you what your goals were. I told you the big idea is how to become a millionaire by age 50. And I told you the course is based on 3 laws of personal finance: the law of spending and saving, the law of tax-advantaged investing, and the law of purpose and commitment. And the homework was pretty easy, and it's hopefully continued to be. But this is where you've gone. That was week 1, and that's in the can now. It's behind us, and that didn't exist before we started building this course together. And then the second week, we talked about savings, and Dave Ramsey did some helpful videos. Your homework was just to summarize those videos and write an article. You did that. I hope you'll save it and use it and share it with people it can help. Then we got into budgeting. Key thing about personal finances, being accountable, building a budget. And we got to see some videos about how you would invest different levels of money, and introduced you to the idea of a 401k. And you did an article. You did a simple budget, and you registered for your financial planning portal so we could start working on the capstone. Then we got to week 4. We focused on credit and debt, and there's some lessons in your online course. We got to do a credit report, talk about credit scores versus reports, and I introduced you to the capstone. You got your free credit report. That was your homework. You listed your creditors, and you did an assignment in Blackboard. And then we got to week 5. This is where we set up your first financial plan in the portal. You'll recall you did all these things. If you did, they're done. They look good. If not, you want to go back and redo them. Then we talked about first memories of money, and you did the parental interview for homework, which is one of the most impactful and powerful parts of this course. And so that was week number 5. Some of the weeks are not, just right because it's summer school, but I didn't get to tell you David's story, but I told you Billy's story, Billy and Sally, and you did the Credit Crush assignment. You built that into your financial plan. You learned a little bit about strategies for paying off debt. And then we got into week number 7, bargaining and negotiating. And so what we did in this assignment this week, this lesson, we did Ramit Sethi, I Will Teach You to Be Rich. He helped us understand how to negotiate a salary. You came up with some resources to share, and we'll share those with the next semester of students. And then you gave me your top 7 tips, tricks, and tools for bargaining and negotiating. That was a fun week. Got into insurance, where there's way too much information to cover, but we tried to cover the basic information related to an introduction to insurance, homeowners, renters insurance. We covered a little bit of auto insurance. I told you what a personal liability umbrella policy was, how it goes over your home and auto. We talked about liability. I told you lots of stories about collision and comprehensive, my favorite coverage of all. Then you did an insurance quote, and you added homeowners and auto to your plan. So you see your plan is continuing to grow. Your capstone assignment is being done all the way through the course. And then we get to week number 9, Insurance 202, where we transition then to investing, but didn't really cover this very well. I'm going to do a better job next semester, but those are the things you can continue to learn if we stay connected after the course. I introduced you to the perfect investment, the 401k match. I introduced the 4 investment strategies that we're going to go over this week and next week. And then your homework assignment was this one. This is the one you're working on. You worked on calculate the cost of retirement with a couple of extra credit assignments. And that week is now in the can, and we're on to investing part 1, which is where we are now. And you'll notice if you go into your online course, there's already a good deal of information there. There will be more information there, and I would encourage you to, if any topic in this course has been interesting to you or not, investing is an important one, and there's lots to learn. So I would encourage you to just consider yourself a lifelong learner. What's a mutual fund, an index fund, an ETF? Those are all going to be part of your assignment for next week, as well as different asset classes. So we have types of investments and types of assets, and I'm going to go over those. In fact, I've gone over those. So if you haven't watched those videos, you'll want to do that. Some of these topics are coming. They're not in the can just yet, but you won't be tested on them. But they're helpful to know if you want to be an investor. So your homework assignment, so simple. It's really easy. You're going to take that $1 million and you're going to invest it and tell me. You're going to take screenshots and show me that you invested it so I know where you invested it. And then here we go into week number 11, part 2. And this is where I'm going to really spend the whole time. There won't be any announcements, or there'll be very little announcements or anything else. And I'm going to jump right into these 4 investment strategies so that you understand them very well and how they apply to the perfect investment. And your homework assignment again next week is going to be to take that $1 million and then reallocate it based on what you learned about different asset classes. So it will, hopefully it'll make a lot more sense then than it might make right now for some of you. So then we get into types of accounts. This is one of the last assignments. I call it the bucket list lesson. So I'm going to teach you about 4 different buckets to help you understand types of accounts, because we have types of assets, we have types of investments, but a really important part of tax-advantaged investing is types of accounts. So I'm going to teach you that using buckets. And then that assignment, you're going to just go back to the drawing board with your $1 million investment, and you're going to break it out into which type of account would you want it to be in. And then you get to do however you want, but you're going to have to tell me why you did it that way. Why did you choose those asset classes? Why did you choose those types of accounts? And you'll be able to see in real time how that looks in terms of your plan. In other words, you'll be able to see the before and after. And let me stop this share right quick. So you'll be able to see the before and after. If you take $1 million and put it in your checking account, what does that look like versus, say, Apple stock? It's a big difference, and you're going to see that, and you're going to learn how these different investment strategies operate. But first, you have to have a basic understanding of types of assets, types of investments. And so that's what you're going to learn in your portal, in your online course. There's already a good deal of information there that I spent a lot of this week trying to curate for you and make easy for you to follow, so that next week is more meaningful. So I'm not even going to pretend to try to cover that in this Zoom meeting. But next week in the Zoom meeting, I will go over the 4 investment strategies. But between now and then, I hope you'll spend some time and learn some things. Just pick and choose. It'd be best if you could do it all, but it'll be there. You're going to have access to that content for 1 whole year. So don't, if you're busy with other assignments, I don't want you to feel pressure to have to go learn everything that I've posted. But it is there for you, and I think if you have time, you're going to want to digest it, because it'll make next week more valuable. And one thing I didn't talk about that was in that little video clip is the final week, pay it forward. And I want to just mention, this is kind of new, but I have a tremendous amount of appreciation, and I hope you do too, for kind of the first time you do something. And this is the first time that you or I ever worked together. It's the first time that I've ever attempted to put together an online course, and I could not do it without you. And you invited me to be part of your group me conversations, and that's where most of you have raised questions and asked for direction, and that's been vital, incredibly helpful and valuable in this course, because that's how I know, here's how I can help you, here's how I can make the course better. And while you may not have benefited from that completely, I promise you, your work in this semester is going to help benefit students next semester and the semester after, and for every semester that I have the privilege and the honor to teach this course at the University of Houston or anywhere else. And so in the final chapter, it's called Pay It Forward, and that's actually a chapter in this book. It's the last chapter in the book. It's called Pay It Forward. So in keeping with the title of the last chapter of our assignment, our course, will be Pay It Forward. And here's how that's going to work. So first of all, I'm going to be very, very generous in terms of how I grade your completion in this course, because you put up with, we all did, we put up with the challenges of going online, and none of us could help that, and we had to just deal with it. And I think we've dealt with it pretty well. And I appreciate all of your grace in terms of some of the things that weren't great, like the disorganization in Blackboard. I'm going to fix that for next semester. It's a long story, but at any rate, Pay It Forward, here's what it's going to look like. Everyone who completes the course, and that means you get a passing grade, you'll get a certificate of completion. And with that certificate of completion, you will be able to come back anytime and retake the course at the same discounted price that you did this time. And you'll have access to the planning portal. Now, you'll have access to the planning portal for 1 year, even if you don't finish the course, even if you don't get a certificate, because that was the deal. If you paid the $49.95, you get the book, you get the blueprint, and you get 1 year to have a professional planning portal. So completers, there'll be 3 certificates. The first one is a certificate of completion. And that, if you hold one of those certificates, you can always come back for 1 year, and you can jump into another course and sponsor it, invite a friend, family, another student for 1 year. The second one, the certificate of competence, means you didn't just finish, but you actually got it, and you took advantage of the learning, and you took advantage of the planning, and it was helpful. And so you demonstrated that you get what it means to have a financial plan, and you will have access then to sponsor other students. You won't have to pay to be part of the course. You can just join the course if you're sponsoring someone else, another student, a family member, a friend, a past student, a future student. It doesn't matter. You basically get to continue to be part of the course if you choose to do that. That's certificate number 2, certificate of competence. And then finally, the certificate of achievement, which means you went above and beyond. You basically are going to be invited to come back without any cost. For as long as I do this course online in this way, you'll be able to come back and sponsor. And when I say sponsor, think about this for a minute. If you can appreciate how much you contributed every time you asked a question, got stuck, you helped me help you, and that helped the course be better. And so a sponsor is someone who comes and works alongside of another student, a family member, someone who's trying to take advantage of the financial planning. Now, at the price level we do this, there's no way I can do one-on-one coaching. But what I can do, and Pay It Forward is all about this concept, I can invite students who have excelled, who have done the work, who've completed the course and demonstrated proficiency. I can invite you back to be a coach, a mentor, someone to help someone else. And so I don't know if that appeals to you or if that's something you might even be interested in, but I wanted you to know that's part of the course, that at the end of the course, we're going to have this Pay It Forward opportunity where you get to be kind of an ambassador. If this course helped you, if it moved the needle for you, and if you expect that it will continue to do that, then you'll be given this certificate, which will give you certain benefits. Now, everyone is always invited to stay connected, and I try to be helpful. Anytime I see a student who was in my course, if you reach out to me on LinkedIn or Facebook or Twitter or text me or whatever, tend to try to do whatever I can to help you. So you don't have to even finish the course for that to happen. But I do appreciate the work you've done, and I appreciate your interest in personal finance, and I hope and pray that you will take it to heart. I know most of you just want an A, just like I did. You want to do it as quick as you can and get it done and move on to the next thing. I get that. That's how I did college, I promise you. But there comes a time in your life where the things that you're learning today, if you apply them, can make a tremendous difference. And I'm hoping that we design this course in such a way so that that becomes true in each and every assignment, each and every lesson, and that you'll take it with you when you leave, and that the A that you earn or don't earn will become far less important than the disciplines and the principles and the plan that you walk away with. So I appreciate you letting me share all of that. Today was a day of kind of just recollecting and looking forward and summarizing where we've been, where we are, and where we're going. And so I'll see you in the next video. I'm going to stop there. I'll answer any questions you might have before I leave. But you're free to go. I'm going to wrap this one up and post it to YouTube. And if you have any questions, as always, please, you can text me, email me, or shoot me a message on GroupMe, and I'll be happy to try to do a short video tutorial to answer your question and help you move forward. And it's all designed around that Capstone Assignment, which is basically your financial plan. We're building it throughout the course. So if you start to talk to other students who are asking, hey, what was that course like? What was it about? Yada, yada. That's the way I hope you'll think about answering it. We built a real financial plan that helped us understand all of the moving parts in personal finance in a way that helps us make good, wise financial choices throughout the rest of our life. That's, in a nutshell, what I'm trying to do here. So becoming a millionaire by the time you're 50, to do that, you got to learn a few things. So I'm going to try and teach you those things. So thank you guys. Have a great day. You're very welcome. More stories to come. Are you going to teach other course on? Yes, I'm Yolani. I mean, I teach this course at U of H, but right now I'm trying to teach one other course. I'm working on that, but so far I haven't gotten them to give me the go-ahead. I teach personal finance, but this blueprint, I've written 2 books basically for financial professionals. So I want to teach a course in the Stephen Stagner School, sales school, about that. But so far I haven't got them to take the bait. Y'all have a great day. I'm going to end it there, and we'll see you on the next video. I don't see any other questions. So if you do, I'm going to give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Is there? Yeah, there is a Kindle version of the book. You just go to, let me see, I think I can, I think that's the link. Yep, that's the link. I'm going to click on it. Yep, that's the link. I could share my screen. Before I go, just for fun, I'm going to share my screen and show you the link. There's the link to Make Your Money Count. I think there's links to all of my books. Yep. So there's several. I don't share that link very often. I do a terrible job of marketing. But yeah, that's the book. That's Make Your Money Count. And it is available on Kindle for $9.99. And so is What Matters Most. So there you have it. Some of my favorite authors. Have a great day. I'm going to end it there.